Remind me at the break to stop the recording, please. So, limiting your gadgets will be tough. I have a couple things here. I've done some different cameras. Photography is a big deal. If you have to take a DSLR, because, I mean, you're going on an African safari or something like that, yeah, take a camera with a big lens. That's when it really is worth its while. But the rest of the time, the weight and the bulk isn't that, it's not that good. And everybody knows what the best camera in the world is, right? The one you have with you. When I went to China last May, I took 4,400, I came back with 4,400 photos. 1,200 of them were with my iPhone, and they were the best photos. But obviously, they don't do a lot for zooming in. So I have a travel lens that goes from, I think it goes to 300. Yeah, it zooms to 300. So it's pretty compact. I can take a big old lens if I want, but it gets so heavy and it just is really tough. So the other thing I have is this, which is very light and very compact. It's called a super zoom camera. This one is a 65 times zoom, which means it goes from, I gotta read, I think it goes up to almost 2,000. It goes from 18 to 2,000. So this thing will zoom in like crazy. Now obviously you're not gonna get the same amount of light that you get with this, but it's a fantastic camera. And it will, when it zooms out, you can see forever. Canon, but Nikon makes a really good one too. This is called the SX60. I think they may even have a new version of it now, but it zooms out to 1,400, I lied. I think there's some newer ones that go even a little farther.
It's still pretty cool.
It also does high definition video, and that comes in really handy. That's the other thing is don't take video cameras with you anymore. Your iPhone is a fantastic video camera. It does 4K video, and even the little point-and-shoot cameras, I don't recommend a point-and-shoot camera anymore unless you have one that has some decent zoom, because your phone is better than a point-and-shoot camera. If you're somewhere where this stuff's going to be a long ways away, get a super zoom or get something where you have a little bit more of a lens. I'm not real hooked on the lenses that you can add on to the iPhone. So so the other thing I also recommend is, I hate selfie sticks, but I like a selfie stick for this reason. They usually come with a little thing for your phone where you can mount it on other tripods, but also this has a Bluetooth release, so I could set my phone somewhere and use the remote release like that. So it just Bluetooths to your phone. You can use it as a selfie stick, but I don't know. So the other thing you can do is you can take, I have two different versions of, they're kind of walking sticks. This one is a Manfrotto, and it works as a walking stick. It's extendable, and then at the very top, that's a little bit tight. At the top, you flip the top, and it has a tripod mount, kind of like this one does. So these could double as selfie sticks if you need to, but they work out great. But you do have to find some sort of iPhone mount that goes onto the tripod. This is another thing called a GorillaPod. The great thing about GorillaPods is you can pretty much wrap them around anything and have them hold your phone or even a light camera for you. Joby, J-O-B-Y, GorillaPod. This is a heavier duty one. This will handle a DSLR. DSLR just means it's a bigger one. And actually, the new trend in cameras is the mirrorless cameras, and they're a lot lighter, and there's some wonderful ones. Sony is making an incredible camera in that regard. That's it for photo stuff. Any questions on photo before I move on to other travel things? The Sony mirrorless cameras, I don't know the exact names and models, AX something, and they're just fantastic.
For what?
For photography, the phony cameras, they're not as heavy, and they're not a DSLR. DSLR is digital single lens reflex. They don't have the mirror that goes flap, flap, and so therefore they don't have that mechanism, and they're really good. Canon and Nikon are making mirrorless now too. But you can get some pretty compact lenses that are good with those. This was actually, there was me on the Great Wall with my walking stick. So I walk the walk and talk the talk. I use all these things. It was this walking stick right here. And actually on this one, the little thing comes off the top so you can use it just like a walking stick. I highly encourage you, whether you think you need it or not, is take a walking stick with you. They're good for other things, you know, if you have animals that are nearby and you need to scatter them or things. But really just the balance, I mean the fatigue and everything else. And they don't take up much room. This one actually has a basket on it for snow, and then it has a rubberized tip or a hard tip for if you're on ice or anything else. I picked this one up at Macworld years ago. Oh, and there's me on the bullet train in China, pointing to 217 kilometers per hour, which is actually the same speed my car can go, 155. That was the slower of the bullet trains in China. Can anybody else hear that? Is it just me? It's like when people have their watch set to ping every hour. Everyone else hears it, but they don't because they've tuned it out by then. This was actually at the base of that tower is this is in Shanghai. The base of that tower is the Beijing Apple Store in Pudong, which is the coolest Apple Store ever. And this is out where the terracotta warriors are. So I was a temporary terracotta warrior. Oh, actually, I'll point this out later. This is a neck pouch that I wear. I'll point this out. It is wonderful. Even though I have all these pockets, I have this neck pouch I wear because then you can have it. Everything's very safe and secure. Can keep maps in it. My iPhone will fit in it. Chapstick, sunscreen, all those different things will fit right there in it. It's very safe and very secure. And you know, many times you'll just have a map tucked in there you want to get easy, quick access to. So I've got I can show you on Amazon where I ordered that. They're great. I use it when I go skiing. I keep my season pass in it, and I keep stuff in it, and keep money, credit cards, etc. All right. TSA. It's pretty much, sometimes it's security theater, and of course they're tightening up. The newest thing is that if there's flights originating from several Middle Eastern countries, they are not allowing laptops in the cabin. This is one that's in response to a real direct threat. I just read this morning that a couple of those Middle Eastern airlines will now let people use a laptop, like Emirates, which is a great airline. They're letting them use laptops, but you can't take iPads. You can take iPhones, and that's about it. The problem is when you scan batteries, they're the same density as plastic explosives. So therefore, it's really hard for them to differentiate that. That's why, if you've ever noticed when you go through security, have you ever seen them take a little tissue and wipe your stuff or wipe you? Anybody know what that is? Yeah. So what that is they wipe around the laptop. They wipe around everything, and then you'll notice they go over to a little machine and put it in a machine, and that machine analyzes whether it has explosives. Believe it or not, at one point, a long time ago, when the old PowerBook titaniums first came out, it went through one of those machines and it thought it was explosives. And this was like the person had one of the first PowerBook titaniums, and my gosh, Apple and everybody's wondering this is terrible if you can't travel with a laptop like that. Well, it turned out that the person had put it in a backpack that at one point it had some rags from gasoline in it. So you couldn't even smell it or anything, but there was just enough residual that it picked it up. And so it was only that one case. And so these things are very accurate. Another thing that you can kind of feel good about accuracy is I have my best friend's, her sister was having some where you eat the radioactive pills, you do those. And she was in Juarez, Mexico, and my friends were flying into El Paso, so they come across the border and meet them in El Paso and then take them back down to their place in Juarez. And they're in line at the checkpoint to come across the border. And, certain licenses have really good, they're able to transit back and forth because you have certain plates and certain IDs. But they got up to the thing, and the guy says, can everybody get out of the car? And then he asked, is anybody undergoing treatment? And sure enough, 10 days prior to this, she had undergone treatment, and it had alerted the border agents. They were able to sense that radioactivity, which gives me some hope that it's really pretty good. Then they went back, and then 2 weeks later, they came across, they already knew the license number, and they said, hey, are you the one that's having the treatment? And it still was setting it off slightly at that point. So pretty amazing when you think about it. But, you know, we do have, and now the pat-down procedures, there's enhanced pat-down procedures. I don't want to get into a whole thing of whether we think it's worth it or not, but it is what it is. So that's sometimes TSA type lines. How many here have TSA pre? Fantastic. If you had it recently, how long did you have to wait for your interview? I'm curious.
Wait for what?
The interview.
It was about 2 weeks.
2 weeks? How long ago did you have it done?
Pardon?
How long ago was that?
Last month.
Okay, so good. So it's come down because it was getting worse than that. And did you go to downtown Sacramento or West Sac or?
I went to H&R Block over off the.
Oh, right. Okay. So TSA Pre is a wonderful program. It's $85 for 5 years. That and what I'm going to tell you about in a second. There are certain credit cards. They're good travel cards, but they'll actually reimburse you for those fees. But they're cards that have pretty high yearly annual fees. So TSA Pre is wonderful. As you get older, you're more likely to get a ticket that says you have TSA Pre. They're randomly selected. And they're almost usually, if you have round trips, they won't do it on one-ways, especially if you paid cash. You're highly unlikely to get TSA Pre. But you can sign up to have TSA Pre, and then you put in your trusted traveler number when you make your reservation, and that gets you TSA Pre. TSA Pre means you don't have to take off your shoes, you don't have to undo a bunch of stuff. And for me, what I do is, I take my watch, I take all of my stuff that's in my pockets because I have a magnetic money clip and things like that. I put everything in my pockets of my Scotty vest, and I put it on the belt, and I walk through scot-free. You don't have to take off the little metal belt buckles and things like that for TSA Pre. There's another one called, oh, there it is. It's $85 for 5 years. Global Entry. Anybody have Global Entry? It's great. You don't have to carry anything. You basically put your palm print on there, and it's for coming back into the U.S. And you pretty much skip customs and skip immigration and
Skip the line.
yeah, you skip the line. With this, you actually get TSA Pre, so it's $15 more than TSA Pre, but you have to go to one of the major airports to get interviewed. It's at least a 6-month wait. My interview was down in San Francisco. I timed it to be the day before I left for China, so I only had to make one trip down there to do it. But it's wonderful because and it was really interesting because I didn't get it out going on my China trip, but on the way back, they had emailed me my number and everything else. So when I came back through customs, my Global Entry worked just great. So, and remember, you get TSA Pre with Global Entry. So anybody had any bad Global Entry? Those of you that have it, it's been pretty slick. Haven't used it yet?
This month.
Good. Where are you going?
Israel.
All right. You going to Jordan, too, to see Petra?
Yep.
That's on my bucket list. Machu Picchu is number 1 on my bucket list, and Petra is probably number 3. So, Petra, I want to hear about that. Petra is wonderful, from what I can tell. You know we have to empty this out before you go through TSA, but I carry empty water bottle with me, or a collapsible water bottle, because once I get through TSA, I can fill that up and have all the drinks I want, and you'll see these in almost every airport now. They're by the drinking fountains. I know they have it at SAC. Virtually every airport I've been at recently has, and they're usually filtered to fill your water bottles. So it really is handy, and you know, the old thing was you never used to trust the water on the airlines. That's okay now, but the problem was the old tanks never used to get done a lot. Now they carry bottled water on there. But it just really, it makes it less of a hassle. And Why buy bottled water when you're going through the airport for $7 a bottle? Okay. This was a lot less than that, and it's used unlimited times. Again, the collapsible ones are pretty cool. I carry those with me. Scotty vest we talked about, travel vest, all kinds of different things. They have a lot of women's clothes. They do currently have until the 4th. They have 25% off. Never pay full price for Scotty vest because it'll go on sale the next week. Generally speaking, the 20% is fairly common. They occasionally have a 30%, but 25 is pretty good. They have a couple things that are exclusions on that. And again, that goes till April 4th. I'm on their email list, but you can, if you just log into their website, this shows up anyway. So Fools 17, I guess, is their. It's not an April Fool's joke. It really is true. They do have that. Okay, so along with the AirPods, which are great headphones, I carry noise canceling headphones because there's nothing worse than that constant drone of hearing the air rushing past the plane. And these are nice because they're active noise canceling, so they have some batteries involved. They're Bluetooth, so I don't have to have a wire, but you put these on. So the bigger headphones are both active and passive noise canceling. What that means is a headphone that has ear covers seals it, so that's passive noise canceling. But these actually have active noise canceling. And the way active noise canceling works, and there's a lot of them that have it, there's even earbuds that have it. There's a microphone here, and the microphone is listening for that hiss of the air going past the plane. So what it does is, I don't know if you know about sine waves, but noise is in a wave, or sound is in a wave like this. So it senses that hiss sound, and then puts a countervening wave that's the exact opposite of it. So it creates the opposite sound, which cancels out that hissing sound. So believe it or not, the microphone in your iPhone has the same thing. Everybody pick up your iPhone, and if you look on the back where the camera is, you'll see a little hole. You'll see the flash, and you'll see the camera. There's a little hole right there. What that is that listens for ambient noise. And then you have the microphone that you speak into on the bottom, and it also would hear the same ambient noise. So if each microphone hears that, it's going to cancel that out, but it hears you talking into this one. So that's an ambient noise sensor there, an ambient microphone. But noise canceling headphones, I want to say these were a little over $100. Bose has a new model out that's really, really good. Bose is very expensive. I did a lot of research, and I just couldn't pony up enough for the Bose, so I went with these Sonys. And I like them. They're a little bit big, but you know, they've got to be big enough for a battery and to have the cushions. But there are earbuds now that do have noise canceling also. But they would only be active noise canceling, not passive noise canceling. Oh, I forgot one thing when we were back on TSA and everything. So waits for passports are increasing right now. There's a what it is we're at the point when about 10 years ago there was new requirements for passports on the border. So a lot of people are renewing their passports now from that 10 years ago. So do that. But I highly recommend spending the extra $20 and getting what's called a passport card. You get it right at the same time. The passport card allows you to not have to use your passport in the Caribbean, to Canada, and to Mexico. And it's my understanding, I haven't verified that, but once you go somewhere, if you're in a country, you can use this as you go around the country. You don't have to carry your passport with you. Your passport is best locked in the safe at the hotel you're at, okay? Because passports are pretty valuable. I always, 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 before I go anywhere, I take a picture of my passport and have it in my phone, okay? When you go park at the airport, take a picture of where you're parked with the lot number. Use your phone for those kinds of things, but I always do that. I also take pictures of my itinerary. Okay. I think you can get a passport card separately. I'm not positive. Just go to the Department of State's website and see. It may not be worth the hassle, but it could be. Also, another thing to remember is when you're traveling, if you're getting, many countries, if you have to get a visa, your passport has to, it can't expire within 6 months of when you go into that country because they're concerned about you staying there. Other countries enforce their borders, so, and they're serious about it. Go ahead.
Do you have any tricks for finding a picture on your phone if you have a passport or?
For finding it,
Yeah.
that's why I do it before I go each time.
Okay.
But yeah, they get buried in there. I don't think I can, well, let me look, because
Put it in an album?
you could probably, yeah, you could make an album and call that travel. You could actually make it a PDF and store it in iBooks. I'm going to talk in a little bit on what I do with iBooks when I travel. But let me try this. Show me my pictures of passport.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
Couldn't you put it in wallet?
Yeah, the wallet thing could work for them, yeah.
You know what's funny is it pulled up my driver's license and some other cards. Wow. But it did my driver's license. That's wild. So I keep a photo of my driver's license. Actually, speaking of that, I have an inside source at the DMV. They're actually looking at developing a secure app where we'll be able to keep our driver's license on our phone. So probably in 2 decades, when DMV gets ready with it, and we'll no longer have phones because we'll have chips embedded in our head, you know.
I'm not sure about that yet, but maybe closer.
So anyway,
Do you have any concern about somebody getting a hold of your phone with a lot of your information, passport, driver's license?
I lock my phone with a passcode and my fingerprint, so they can't get in. Actually, you know what? I've got to remind me when I hook my phone up to the screen to tell you about medical ID. Okay, I've got that in my notes to do, but I don't want to switch things. So when I travel, well, if they allow me, I travel with my iPad and my iPhone. And many times you'll have things on your iPad and you'll have somebody you're traveling with, and you don't want to use the speaker. First of all, you'll never hear it, but secondly, it's really rude to someone else. So go pick yourself up a headphone jack splitter. These are cheap. You can get them on Amazon. They're $1 or $2. Radio Shack, if you can still find one of those stores, has them. Fry's, other places.
Radio Shack.
There's still some. It's a mini jack is what that's called. It's a 3.5 millimeter. And you just say, hey, I need a headphone splitter. So you put this in the device, and then each of you have your own headphones. This doesn't work for, oh, I should mention my Bluetooth headphones like these actually have a cord too, so I can run them wired. Because that way if your battery dies, because the battery's good for like 10 hours, so if the battery dies, I can still use them as a regular headphone wired. But what I do with my iPad is, we've all been, you're sitting behind somebody and they've got the tray table right here. So I leave the tray table up, I put it down slightly, I slide this in from the side, close the tray table on it, and it just hangs right there on the seat in front of me. So it's just an iPad case like that. It works really, really well, and you can do it between the seats. So it's just a flip over case like that. Now, that being said, how many here have Netflix? In the last couple months, they've made it so you can download your Netflix stuff now. It used to be you had to just stream, which means on an airplane, you're never going to have enough Wi-Fi connectivity to do that. And in fact, in most hotel rooms, you won't have enough connectivity. So you can download it with the Netflix app, shows, and store them on your iPad or even your iPhone. Okay? You've got to make sure there's room for that. So the other one, how many here have Amazon Prime? You've been able to do it on that for at least a year. When I went to China, I downloaded a great 12-part series about what led up to between World War I and World War II, all the stuff that went on behind the scenes, and it made that 14-hour flight go like crazy. And I just sat there and watched them. This is good. Your iPads are good for 10 hours. Now I'm good for 40 hours. Okay. Most of the airplanes now still have they have USB plugins now too. So you could make sure you take your Lightning connector and you can plug it in. Or take your little power adapter because some of the seats will have an AC plug also. So be prepared on that stuff. Actually, bringing that up, I just briefly did this earlier. I have too many straps. Oh, when I was talking about cameras, I forgot. There are different types of camera straps. These are a wonderful travel one that goes over your shoulder, your vest, and your camera. Because the hardest part is when you're walking along in a big crowd, your camera just swings. But these are wonderful because the camera hooks on it. I'll show it to you later, but I'm looking for, So go to a backpacking store or like an REI and get some webbing belts with clips. Many times you're going to want to hook your luggage to one another, so you're rolling it through, different things like that. Of course, always put a big luggage strap around your luggage because then it won't pop open. But secondly, it allows you to identify it because how many other people have black suitcases out there? So, but I also do this because when I'm sitting down, if I can't get extra seats where by me and I have somebody next to me, I put this around my legs to hold them together because I'm constantly trying to keep my legs close together or my muscles go sore. So I wrap them around that. Anything, just putting things in your baggage, just different things. Take some extra straps. They're really lightweight. They don't take up any room, and they're like $2 each. So they just have a little buckle on them. Oh, it's okay. So she says, can you lock your suitcase? It's checked. Yes, you can lock your suitcase. It's checked. There are TSA-approved locks. So the way it works, and I never use key locks. I always use combination locks because Lord knows you're going to forget or lose that key. So you get a combination lock, but the TSA lock has a special key that TSA can use to unlock your lock. Most of those locks are only keeping honest people out, and most of the baggage handlers aren't that honest, so they'll maybe get in it, but it does help you a bit. I recommend if you have anything important, it's not a bad idea to either videotape or inventory what you're taking in there, because if you do lose your bags, you're going to want to know what's up. The regulations for the amount of money they owe you for international is different than domestic if they lose your luggage. But in that regard too, always take pills in your carry-on with you because pills are important. And also, I have a lady I travel with that's just a really good friend of mine, but she takes all her pill bottles with her. No, get the little pill cases, and actually a little trick because I have the little travel pill cases, but I'm always concerned with the little lids opening up. So I have a sleeve that I put them in that's a little plastic bag that keeps it really tight so they won't pop open. And that's really, really important. So put them in and always take a bunch of extra plastic bags with you because you need them for lots of different things. So, and the different pill things, there's some, and by the way, there are some great iPhone apps on pill reminders here and then here.
My concern, because I use that at home, the pill cases.
Right.
If I just take that, are they going to question what kind of drug is this? Where if you bring the bottle.
Well, actually, if you're concerned about what drug it is, there's a wonderful app called I'll think of it in a second. Anyway, it does pill ID. So you could take pictures of your pill bottles with the pill next to it if you want. I mean, has anybody ever been hassled with prescription medications?
No, but when I went to Cuba recently, we were told to definitely take the original
Container.
pill bottle.
Well, if you do, take it empty. But I mean, that doesn't seem. It's like you could put anything in that. It could say it's lisinopril, and you put oxycodone in there. But I don't know. I know that for me, I could use the Kaiser app and show what my pharmacy list is if needed. But the pill ID is. Does anybody remember that? The one that you can do pills. Hippocrates, thank you. Hippocrates is a wonderful app. It was one of the very first iPhone apps, and it's a pill ID thing. So what it does is it starts out and you can say, oh, okay, is the pill oval or round? Okay, it's round. Is it peach colored? Is it orange? Is it red? You go through different things, and it will tell you what that pill is, or at the end it'll come up with maybe 3 choices. It'll be a picture of the pill. and you can usually tell what it is that way. It's also a wonderful one to check for interactions and things like that. So Epocrates, E-P-O-C. So it's fantastic. But I think if you just photograph, you could do some photos with your phone and things like that. I don't know, but it's a great question. What was yours?
When you download the movie from Netflix now or Amazon, does it have an automatic expiration or something?
No, it doesn't. But what's interesting is because you have an account with them, I haven't done Netflix download, but I know with Amazon, if I'm on a plane and I'm not connected, when I start that one, it says, you can watch this for the next 48 hours because you don't have an internet connection. After that, it will time out. Just the one I'm watching, not the ones I've got in queue. It's when I start to watch it. And then as soon as I get internet connectivity again, that clock is reset. So it's just checking in. They have to do that so that people aren't stealing the stuff is what it is.
How much storage does a movie typically take?
I figure it depends, because I like to download not the higher definition. I choose a little bit less definition, but it's about 2 gigabytes per an hour, depending on what it is. So lower definition would be less. High definition is 4 times as much as standard definition as far as the thing. But the other thing is now Apple, you can buy movies from Apple or you can rent movies from Apple. Those can go on there too. But remember, you have to do this before you leave. Also, you might check your DVR from your TV provider. I know with mine, if I have something recorded that I want to watch, I can download it to my iPad from there and watch it anytime I want. Not live, I download it to it.
How do you download from the DVR to
Depends on your carrier. I have a TiVo I have Wave broadband, but I think the new Comcast Xfinity X1 does it, and I think the Dish Genie or the Dish Hopper and DirecTV Genie do the same thing. So you just have to look into that. But you have to download it. The trick there is you have to be on your home network that the DVR is attached to is the only way it'll let you do it. That way you're not letting people in another state download what you have is how they get around it. So you have to check with your provider on that. Go ahead, Anna.
Before you move on, the extra battery that you showed us, can you give us the...
There's lots of them out there. My recommendation for anything portable is Anker, A-N-K-E-R, at Amazon. And I'll be pulling up Amazon here in a bit, so remind me to show that to you, okay? This actually was one that I got on a killer sale. I had a bigger battery that I got that's an Anker, and I love it because it's like it'll run, I mean, it's huge. But when I researched when I was going to China, they were limiting the size of the battery. So I ended up, Best Buy had a really good deal on these, and so I picked up 2 of these to take with me to China since they would have taken my big battery. It's all based on amp hours and things. I think it's 26,000. Don't quote me on that, but if you just Google it, it'll usually show you what domestic and international is. And that's a lot. Sometimes you're better off taking 2 of the smaller than 1 of the bigger.
But when you're talking size, are you talking capacity or dimensions?
It's all about capacity, which essentially is dimension because there's not a lot of waste space on these. Basically, it's all battery with a little bit of case and a little bit of connectors. So it's relative to the capacity is the size. So, and again, Amazon Prime, those who here are Amazon Prime members, okay, you can get an Amazon Prime credit card now. It's one of the best things going, and it is, you get $70 for signing up, and you get 5% back on everything you purchase from Amazon, which is pretty good. Now, speaking of travel and credit cards, I don't have a slide for this. I take on all my credit cards and I write on it what my discounts are so I know. So like my Costco card, I just booked, I'm going to Thailand in November and stopping by Bali on the way. And on my Costco credit card, it's 3% off travel, 3% back on travel and restaurants. So that's, in fact, I booked the the friend I'm going with, I ended up paying for that person's on this, so I got the discount on it. So anyway, getting the money back from them, but let's see here. So there's some cards also, if you're going internationally, that give you no foreign currency transaction fees. Nerd Wallet, if you go to one called Nerd Wallet, they'll tell you about that, but I just do a Google search for it. I have a Fidelity one that gives me 2% back and everything, and I think it's no foreign transaction fees. So check with that. American Express cards are great, but they aren't accepted that much internationally. There's some incredible travel cards out there right now because the credit card companies are in a spot where they just want to get more and more new people in. Go ahead.
Last time I checked Fidelity, it did have foreign transactions.
Yeah, you know, as soon as I said that, I thought about it. I can't remember which one. No, I'm not sure. I may have been wrong on that because Fidelity has they're using Elan Financial now, which is different. So you'd have to check. Some of the Chase cards don't, but you can just go to Nerd Wallet and just Google it. The other thing is, if you travel a lot, you can get some of these higher priced cards, like you pay $4.95 a year, but you get a ton of benefits off of it, and some of them are giving away 100,000 miles right now. But they'll also give you access to airport lounges, and there's nothing like, if you have a long layover, is to get into one of these nice lounges, and it's usually yourself and either one or two traveling companions to get into the airport lounges. So you have to weigh those considerations on that fee, but they also will give you back a lot of travel-related things. Any fees you incur traveling, they'll do it, but they also will insure your trip and do some travel insurance. And by the way, travel insurance. I use it. I recommend it. I went right to the source. It's called Allianz is the company. And for a year, it was $249. And it wasn't all inclusive, but it was pretty inclusive. 2 people just walked out. They're coming back, though. So you're doing a count. I've got to make sure I keep my numbers up. It works out really well because it's trip interruption. It's also getting you back if you're injured, different things like that. So I recommend that. One thing they say is on cruise lines, it's not a good idea to get the travel insurance from the cruise company because it's not in their best interest because they're kind of playing both ends of it. But you can find these independents. Actually, a good website for that. And actually, the website I recommend to go to all this information is clark.com. It's good old Clark Howard, who's a financial guy. He's the best podcaster ever, and he used to be a travel agent. But the website that you can go to compare all these is called insuremytrip.com. I forgot to put that on my list that I'm going to put up for you guys in a little bit. But travel insurance is good, and like I say, wait till you're getting ready to go on the trip and then get it for a year rather than just each individual trip.
What if you miss your flight? Is that insurance? I mean, because some of them.
They all have stipulations. I mean, I think if you got in a car wreck on the way and you had to go to the hospital, yeah, they'd probably cover you. But, they can't. You can pay for whatever kind of coverage you want. It's like when you go to the rental car counter. You can pay, to have bring the car back with just, okay, here's the key, that's all that's left, and walk away. But, you pay for that. They're willing to insure anything, but you pay more for it. So depending on what level of risk you want to carry versus them, you can look at that.
But if they stipulate car wreck, it better be a wreck, not just a blown tire.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is, so we're kind of between car rentals, and I'm going to talk to car rentals in a second here, but domestically, many of your car insurance companies will give you the same level of coverage on the rental car that you have with it, but you need to check with your carrier. But secondly, many of the credit card companies provide what's called secondary coverage. So in other words, once your insurance company is finished covering it, they'll cover the rest. But here's a little thing I learned recently is that make sure, because one of them tried to get out of it because the people didn't buy the gas for the car on that same credit card. They rented the car on that credit card. So they're looking for ways out on that. So do everything with that credit card. But there are credit cards out there that provide what's called primary coverage. And next time I rent a car, I'm going to make sure I have a credit card that provides primary coverage, because what primary coverage means is if I get in a wreck in a rental car, it's the first one they go to, and I don't even have to go to my insurance company. So therefore, it's not a claim on my insurance. So that's primary. And again, the Nerd Wallet or Credit Card Tune-Up are the sites to find this information. If you just Google it, it's interesting. I'm just starting to get information on that. So go ahead.
Okay, I've gotten travel insurance from other places. One line is what I used it. I've never seen it where they have it for a year. Because it's always specified where you're going, when you're getting back, and how much you're paying.
Yeah, so I went direct. So insuremytrip.com is where I got some of it, and it'll do the different ones. But then I went direct to Allianz. So I've got a website up here I'll be showing you later, johnnyjet.com. Johnny Jet is, he talks on Leo Laporte's Twit podcast, and he's pretty good, and I followed his advice on that. He in fact gets not a kickback, but they're one of his advertisers. But when I checked through it last May, when I did, before my China trip, I went with Allianz, and it's good for a year. So I think you have to specify the first trip and how long it is to get the quote, but then you say how long do you want the trip for. All right, so it happens to be our next slide. So here's rental cars. Always, when you pick it up and when you drop it off, take a picture of the odometer, take a picture or a video all the way around the car. Because that little door ding you missed, believe me, on digital pictures, these things will show up. Because this is how you return the car, and this is how the rental company is going to say, once you're gone, they say that's how you return the car. So you returned it, you checked out and everything else, and then in the parking lot, some mad person came through and hit the car. Well, if you have photos of it, because with your iPhone, it has a date stamp and it has a geographic location stamp. So please do it. A video works. You can narrate it if you want to do it. That's what you can do when you're packing. If you have certain things you're flying with, you can do that. And then when it's all over and, a year after you've returned the rental car, you could delete that video if you want, those photos. But I highly recommend it. It's happened to lots of people. And it's not them trying to get over it. Something happened and they looked for the last person that had it. Well, you're the last one to have it.
So you take it when you rent it and when you return it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I do a video.
Yeah, a video works well. If you need to get any detail, a couple pictures on just certain things, but it works pretty well.
I thought of the odometer.
Oh yeah, definitely do the odometer too, so there's no discrepancy on that. Because if this were to go in the body shop, it would have an odometer reading on it. They always write it when you return it and everything else, but it doesn't hurt to have it. Also, when you're checking into hotels and things like that, take a picture of your license plate, because many times they're going to ask you what your license plate is, and that way you're not running back and forth out to the car when it's raining really hard outside. I have a dash cam in my car at all times now, and I'm thinking it might be wise to travel with a portable dash cam. They're not expensive. They're like under $100, and there's a lot of scams out there. And you never know what happens in other countries. And videotape evidence is overwhelming. Just go on YouTube sometime and see some of these scam Russian things, and they all have dash cams in Russia. And so it's something you can plug into a cigarette lighter. Don't leave it out in the open, because then they'll break into the car and take it. All right, we talked about selfie sticks earlier, so this is, in China, they were terrible. They're all over the place. I mean, it's like, but you know what? Sometimes if you travel alone, you want that. You can have people take pictures, but you don't have to have a selfie stick to do it. You could set it on a Gorilla Pod and then use the remote release. Or on your iPhone, you have a 3-second and a 10-second timer, by the way. So if you're in your photo or if you're in your camera, there's a little thing that looks like a watch. You can tap it and you can delay it by 3 seconds or 10 seconds. That allows you to get in the picture if you want. Also,
I have a walking stick with
There isn't. But it supplants it, but then that's where this comes in, the little strap that you remember to take with you, because you could strap that stick to something and then take a picture of it. The other thing you got to remember on your iPhone, when you're doing a selfie, it's the front camera. The front camera is not as good a camera as the rear camera. So if you set it up and have it be a rear camera and you have a remote release, boom. The other thing is, if you use the 3-second timer, it should do it. Let's hope it does it. Is it flashing?
Yeah.
Boom. So that gives you, that's another reason to do it from this camera. Okay? It's a much better camera on the rear. So if you use the 3 or 10-second timer, the flash will go so you know you're running quick to get in the scene. And it is a much better camera. And your arms don't shrink up through atrophy. All right, this is actually an interesting one. It's not exactly what I have here. I've been hard to find these, but it's a walking stick that actually has a grip. But this just reinforces the walking stick with some sort of thing on it. But then remember, you need to get some sort of iPhone holder. This iPhone just sits in this and it mounts to the top. That's important. In fact, I bought a $5 selfie stick in China just simply because I had forgotten to call I had a monopod. I didn't take a tripod with me to China, but anyway, I didn't have the thing for the iPhone. All right. This is worth $1,000. The 7s are virtually waterproof. But the other advantage to having this little bag like this is it creates a lanyard on it, so you're not going to lose it too. So these things are the waterproof bags. They're great. You can put your phone in it. You can actuate the screen through it. It won't be great for the camera. That's one thing. It'll kind of distort a little bit depending on how clean it is. But it is good. A little thing with that, a little sideline is, if you pay your cell phone bill with a Wells Fargo credit card, a real credit card, either auto pay or regular pay, it provides you at no charge up to $600 worth of insurance coverage on your phone against being stolen, breakage, or drowning, not just lost. And it's only a $25 deductible up to twice a year and up to the first 4 lines on your account. So it's great. It costs you nothing. It just means pay your cell phone bill with a Wells Fargo credit card, not a debit card. Not buying the phone initially, the ongoing monthly fee. Actually, while we're talking about cell phones, the question came up earlier is who do I have for a carrier? I love T-Mobile. I have T-Mobile. I swear by it. If you're going to travel all internationally, it is so worth it. I can travel to Mexico and Canada, and I've got the exact same I have here. I have unlimited data. I have unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. And it's high-speed data. If you go up to, there's 179 countries that if you go to, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text. I'm sorry, hold on. Unlimited data, albeit slightly slower than what you get here. Text messaging is included, but if you make cell phone calls, it's 20 cents a minute, which is very reasonable. And that's anywhere in the world, the 20 cents a minute you can call to. If I'm on Wi-Fi, like I'm at a hotel, and my phone has what's called Wi-Fi calling, I call anywhere I want for free. So last January, I went to Colombia for 2 weeks, and I thought, well, I'll buy this unlocked phone and take it with me and everything, and I had just been on to T-Mobile. And first I land in Mexico City for a layover, and a little thing pops up as soon as I land in Mexico City. It says, oh, welcome to Mexico City. This is T-Mobile. Go ahead and use your phone just like at home. You won't get charged anything. I go, that's pretty cool. So then I took off and I landed in Medellin, Colombia. Great, great city, by the way. And it says, welcome to Colombia. Use all the data you want. It might be slightly slower than you're used to at home. You could pay extra and get a little faster if you want. And you can do text all you want, but if you happen to make a phone call, it's only 20 cents a minute. Now, a carrier is going out of their way to tell you this when you go to it. It just is amazing. And so then the same thing happened in China. So I took off from San Francisco. I went to Canada. I was in Vancouver. I get the same pop-up there. Then I land in Beijing and get the pop-up there, 20 cents a minute. Then we go to Macau. Same thing pops up for Macau. Same thing pops up for Hong Kong. Came back home. In those 2 trips, I ended up spending $6.87. So, and the interesting thing is in China, they block Facebook and Google. They don't want people to Google about Tiananmen Square and things like that. And China is a wonderful country. It's not like this thumb on you the whole time. It's just they do that, but the Chinese know how to get around it. But what was interesting is if I was on the hotel Wi-Fi, Facebook and Google were blocked. If I used my phone, even though it went through China Mobile, one of the main carriers there, I could get on Facebook and Google through my T-Mobile. So it was bizarre. But the phone is a wonderful tool, and we're going to go, after the break, we're going to go through some of the apps.
Is there a place where you can check your carrier like Verizon, what they, I don't trust when I call that straight answers or something.
See, and that's, but you hit it right there. I used to be with AT&T. I didn't like AT&T. I've never liked a carrier. I love T-Mobile. Seriously. Okay, how many here are T-Mobile users? How many here are baseball fans? Next Tuesday, you get a free thing. They have a T-Mobile Tuesdays. They do free things, free pizzas, free movie. They put a little app on the phone. You just do it. Get the free premium subscription to Major League Baseball next Tuesday. Good for the whole season. T-Mobile just does it gratis.
Yeah, she pays like $9.99.
So back to your question. With AT&T and Verizon, look on the website first because you're not, that's, you can, and then I would print it out, I would screenshot it, I'd circle the little things. It's like the old Alice's Restaurant, you got to have the things on the back. And so I think that it's, with T-Mobile or with Verizon, it's interesting. Your phone from Verizon is unlocked. And if you're traveling a long time, you can put a SIM card in from wherever the country you're in and use it there, and your data will be cheap. But otherwise, they have plans. They've gotten better. In fact, T-Mobile has forced these carriers. And if you haven't shopped your rate in a long time, go shop your rate because AT&T and Verizon have been lowering their rates because they're losing so many people to T-Mobile. So they're finally, Verizon, who never lowered rates, is finally coming to grips with that. And check it, but then check what their international things are. AT&T, to put a SIM card in it, you have to have your phone unlocked, and you have to be finished with your contract to do that. Verizon, because they have a ruling, they can't lock the phone. You can put a SIM card in it. Any 5S or newer will work internationally with a SIM card. Here and then here.
You're talking about what's the difference between high-speed data and regular?
It's 3G versus LTE. It's not a big deal. And now they actually made it so it's good everywhere. By the way, in China, I had connectivity. I'm out in the countryside and everything. I had internet connectivity on my phone everywhere except when the high-speed train was going through the tunnels. That's the only place. But other than that, it wasn't super, but it was great. I couldn't believe it. I had better coverage in the countryside of China than you do in certain areas of Sacramento. It just blew me away.
Where do you buy that?
I think I got mine on Amazon, and I like the pouch thing I had better, but I think it's just neat to have some sort of leash for your phone. It worries me when I'm skiing. I'm kind of like holding it like this with the death grip, This is the travel pouch I was talking about. I'll show you on Amazon where it is. Go ahead, Leslie.
How much do you pay people?
I pay nothing. I have 9 people I've put on my family plan, and I charge them. I looked around, I had to make sure none of them was here. So T-Mobile has a great deal. It's $100 for 2 lines, unlimited everything, and sometimes they'll give you the 3rd line for free, depending on when it is. So basically it works out. All these people, it's $40 a line, so I charge these people $40 a line, and 1 line was free, so I made that mine. But anyway, I've got 9 people in my little circle, and I get unlimited everything, and that's, by the way, no tax, nothing else. That's bottom line. $40 a line is what it works out to. Then they do specials. They just gave away free iPhone 7s. My nephew, I got my brother and his wife and my nephew, they all went on, and they were $100 for 3 lines, and they got iPhone 7s for free by turning in a 6 or newer. So it's... But the coverage on T-Mobile in the very rural areas, like in Yosemite, I didn't have any coverage. You get slight AT&T coverage in Yosemite, but you know what? It was Yosemite. But the best part is once I'm checked into the lodge and I'm on the Wi-Fi, I can make calls all I want because I'm on Wi-Fi. Go ahead, Leslie. Forgot. Yeah.
Well, I've been trying to tuck my daughter into I'm on hers, and she has 4 lines. So 4 lines.
But have her requote it because they're, as I remember, they're on Verizon, right?
No.
AT&T.
We're on AT&T.
So, but AT&T is now coming back and trying to match all of this. But remember, I get wonderful customer service from T-Mobile. I dare anyone to say that about AT&T or Verizon. Okay? All right. Traveling, Uber and Lyft. Fantastic. I didn't realize this when I was in Colombia. We decided to take, well, first of all, Medellin is one of these towns you don't want to drive in. Everybody's there, great drivers. They're all really small cars. But man, these traffic circles, and they're zinging in and out and everything. So we decided, we stayed in my friends, they're actually from Citrus Heights. They bought a house an hour out of Medellin on this beautiful lake and stuff. But we went into Medellin when they met me there, and we stayed 2 nights at this hotel there, and we decided we're not even taking their car. We just leave it parked. And we, instead of getting taxis, which are really cheap, we got Ubers. And when you look at Uber, you'll see the Uber cars like you do around here, but then there are certain cars that had the Union Jack, the British flag, on the roof of the icon of the car, and you can get an English-speaking Uber for about 20% more than a regular Spanish-speaking Uber. So luckily I was with native Spanish speakers, but we took a 20-minute trip on Uber and it was $3. So I used Uber in China. Now Uber, it's Didi is what the one in China is. But just try. They're all over the place, and they're wonderful. You can use Uber to get to the airport. You can use Uber or Lyft. If you're taking a lot of luggage, remember you might need to get the XL version, a little bit bigger version of an Uber car, things like that. Lyft has a neat thing where if you're leaving really early in the morning, you can schedule a Lyft in advance, and then that driver will be there when they're supposed to be there. So you can do that. So those work out pretty well. It's less than a taxi, less than a shuttle, and pretty darn good. If you're going to San Francisco, for parking, I've got an app called Spot Hero. When I went to China, when I went to China and Medellin, I went out of San Francisco, and I was going to be gone 2 weeks, 2 weeks and 2.5 weeks, so I knew parking was going to be expensive. So I got this app called Spot Hero, and what they do is they find parking places like this one hotel where they have a private parking company doing the hotel, and they charge something like $29 a day, and I ended up getting it for 10 or 12 a day, something like that, through Spot Hero, and you just check it in with the app and everything. Spot Hero is that app and website. All right, now we're going to switch to the phone. Actually, before I go to that, all right, I'm going to talk. Actually, we're getting ready for the break right now, so why don't we go ahead and do the break, and then come on back with your iPhone ready to take some pictures of different apps and websites and things like that. And I'll have this set up. Actually, before we break, let's do this. This will work out. I want to show you. So watch on the screen here. It reads the sign and translates it. So we're going to do that as soon as you get back. And that's a free app. All right.
I love free apps.
Free apps are good, and that's one of the first apps ever on the iPhone.
I know I've heard of Google Maps is sometimes better than Apple Maps.
Come on, let's see if this will work today. Got to be on the same one. Okay. So my phone is on here. So I'm going to do, so I'm going to just use Siri and say, launch translate.
Which of these would you like?
Okay, so this is Google Translate. So I'm not going to speak Chinese and put it in English, but I'm going to go from English to Chinese. So I can simply tap the microphone in the center and say, which way to the train station? And you can see it did that. Now if I tap on down there, and you'll see this little blue thing, and you won't be able to hear it, but oh. Yeah. It's coming through there. That's a good thing. Let me try this. It's going through the projector speaker because it's on HDMI. And sorry. Oops. Let's see if that does it. Oh, now it's going through this. It's this whole HDMI thing is always so weird. Is it coming through this? All right, so we're not going to be able to hear it say Chinese things. But trust me, it's speaking Chinese.
We believe you.
So when you used it, was it accurate?
Okay, so yes, it's very accurate. Now, the first question comes up and it says, what about using data in other countries? Brand new to Google Translate is you can download the language ahead of time and have it stored on your phone. So you don't have to have connectivity, but trust me, they're so much better when you're traveling to make sure you have connectivity. And I can't tell you what it was like to be able to travel anywhere and not worry about that when I was traveling. Let's go.
Okay, but so you hold that up and they speak Chinese in there, and so how do you know what they said?
Okay. Let me.
And then they tell you which way to
No,
go.
very, very good question. So let's do this. So so here's one of the 85 different languages. And you'll notice that there's these now download buttons by them which means you can download them onto your phone so you're not using data. So you would do this ahead of time. I don't know much Spanish, but we'll give it a try here. So I'm going to go from Spanish to English. La cuenta, por favor.
That's a good one to know.
Okay? So I spoke it. I did this with my Uber driver in China. We did it back and forth. Very soon this is going to be live conversation. There's kind of some that do it now, but what I like about the Google Translate is in one app it's got built in a lot of languages. It does it. You can type it, you can say it, or you can write on the screen. Let's go back here. I can say, let's go, oh actually let's do this. I'll do, there I can say, hola. And hello. It added hello to it. So just by scribbling on it. So if you think about it, you're in China and they have the characters, they could do the character out and it'll translate it right there. Okay? So, and within the app, the way you do the app is, so X out of that. Newer offline translation files available, review and update. Yeah, I don't want to do that now. Oh, and also your previous ones are in a list here, which is new. So your English is very good. That was in China. I did that in China. Oh, wow, that's cool. I have to photograph the waterfall. I will be back. Oh, I was trying to find out carbohydrates and different things when I was there. Oh, I was looking for, oh, that was actually in Medellin. I looked for, oh, I didn't do penis, sorry. That was pen is. That wasn't that. That was pen. That was pen is, okay? I have a feeling, since that was in Spanish, I know it was when I was with my buddy Jesse, and I'm sure there was some joke behind that. Anyway, it's a wonderful app, and I went skiing yesterday. That's why my face is red. But then you'll notice across the top line is they have the photo. That's how we did the translation of the sign. Then this microphone, when you tap the microphone, it's for you to speak or the other person to speak. But you'll notice at the very top is the language, English to Spanish. I just tapped the two arrows, and it changes from Spanish to English. So that's how you're doing it back and forth. And then the squiggly line is so they can write right on the screen. So that's Google Translate. It's free, it kicks butt, and it's very, very useful. But you can do things like what's the current temperature in Paris, France?
It's 62 degrees right now in Paris, France.
So it says 62 degrees, so then I can say, convert 62 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius.
The answer is 16.7 degrees Celsius.
Okay, sorry you can't hear it through the speaker. Why does it do it on certain things and certain not? Is it coming through there? Oh, it's through there? Okay. Oops. So that's using Siri. I can also say, convert $386 to euros.
361 euros and 80 cents.
So Siri does that. Siri will need a connection for that. And those are updated right at currently. I should point out, we talked earlier about no foreign currency transaction fees on credit cards. Even if you pay a slight foreign currency transaction fee, it's better to use your credit cards to pay for stuff because the credit card companies get the exchange rate at what's called the banker's rate, which is much, much better. And you go to so never go to the exchange place at the airport because they're the most expensive. You get farther and farther away and you can find other places to do your exchange if you can. But use your credit card because you're protected, and second of all, you're going to get what's called banker's exchange rate, which is quite good.
ATMs are pretty good.
I'm not sure, but I think it works the same. Yeah, I'm getting a bunch of nods. Yeah, so.
The transfer works, same thing, it's your credit card.
And then you want to check with your ATM, your bank. Excuse me, gives you your debit card because some of them won't charge any fees, even if it's international. A lot of them won't do it domestically. They want to check international too, because that can really add up. All right. So I wonder if I should fire up. Oh, you don't see my laptop, so I can bring it. Oh, you do. It's through it. Never mind. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to trade to Keynote. There we go. So, all right, everybody get your iPhone out. Get the best camera in the world out. We're going to take a picture of 3 screens, and then I'm going to go through each one. But this is just easier than writing it down, anything else. So I'll give you a second with this one, then we're going to do one right after it. So if you don't have your phone, if you haven't taken this shot yet, say, wait, Ken. Okay. Okay, I'll wait. Anybody else still need me to wait? Okay. Still waiting. We need the Jeopardy. We need the Jeopardy, Final Jeopardy theme song. Dum, dum, dum. I used to have that on my computer. Okay, is there anybody that still doesn't have this one? Okay, keep your phones up.
Okay.
We'll talk about these as they do them, but I just figure we'll get all the phones out of the way in one here. Do I still need to wait on this one?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody got that? Oh, I got one more still. You still got it? Is it a wait, Ken, or are you just poised for the next one there? Tell me wait if I need to wait. Okay, so next one. All right. Everybody put your phones up so I can get a photo of you all getting photos. There'll be a test on this later. But it's going to be an open book test. Tell me wait if I need to wait. God, we got better at the end there. Okay, so first one is Apple Wallet. How many here use Apple Pay? Okay, so Apple Wallet. So Wallet is an app that's not really an app. It's a repository of things. So I'm going to switch to here. Oop, come on. I got to reconnect. Nope, that's good. Turn off. Turn on. There we go. So Google or Apple Wallet used to be called Passbook. It's called Wallet now. So the wallet is cool because it holds different things like credit cards that are good for Apple Pay. By the way, if you have an Apple Watch, you can assign certain of those to work on the Apple Watch. And the Apple Watch for Apple Pay works better than the phone. But now we have some other things like, here was my Southwest flight recently when this is on the way back from Salt Lake City. I was skiing in Park City. So this doesn't get generated in here. How I got this is, when I'm in my flight with the Southwest app, and I book my Southwest, I always set reminders on my phone because I had, oh, what was this one? Oh, look at that. I'm A31. That means I was the second person to get in line because actually I'm the first because A through the first 30 are set aside for business select and all that. So I did this at the click of 24 hours before the flight to get in. I was pretty lucky on that one. I think when I flew here, I was like A50 something. But anyway, so when I'm in the app for Southwest and I check in for my flight or go back and check it, there'll be a little spot in there that says Add to Wallet. So when I tap Add to Wallet, it adds it to my wallet. Now, I also could take a screenshot of the picture of the ticket when I'm on there, but this is so much better because as I pull up to the airport and I get near the airport, it knows what time and it knows my location. And this comes up on my lock screen. So I don't even have to unlock my phone. I simply tap it and it comes up with just this. The rest of my phone is still locked. And I go through and you can see this one has TSA pre on it. And I just go up to their little thing and I hold my phone underneath it with my driver's license or passport, and TSA lets me through. And then when I go to the gate, I don't need my driver's license or passport anymore. I just go to the gate and they scan this little QR code, and it's all grayed out now because it's no longer valid, but I'm showing you it's there. It's wonderful.
How do you delete that from Wallet?
You know, that's
You just hit the
what
I and remove pass.
Oh, okay.
Okay? I keep them in just so I can show them in the classes like that. Go ahead, Mary.
So you have to have it on the.
So that's the key. You have to have the app first because Wallet doesn't generate this.
Which app? Apple Wallet.
Is this a wallet? And do I pay this wallet company for my credit card bill? I have to put a credit card in my wallet, right? You have to put whatever this is into Wallet from the app because you have to have the app. If it's Delta, if it's United, if it's any of those, you then tell it to add it to here. But you still have to have the app because the app is what does the heavy lifting. I still have to have a credit card to put in my wallet, right? You have to have the app to move that to the wallet. And you don't move it, it's a copy. It's still in the app and everything else. This is just a very secure and simple way to have it when you want it. Go ahead.
When you go through the TSA line or whatever, you have to have the two documents, which are going to say both the
I have to have this
and your
and a government ID.
Is your ID also in this wallet? Can you use that?
Not yet.
You can't revoke
No. No, because that's not official. That could be, they look at so that's the other thing is the new Trusted ID Act that's being enacted in the next couple of years. Believe it or not, people in Washington, state of Washington and 2 other states, they won't even be able to use that. They'll have to use a passport because it doesn't have the new holographic image and all the other biometrics on it. So anyway, I'm surprised. Oh, there you go. So when we were in Park City, there was this neat little theater, the coolest place in the world. They have all these different acts that have been up there. Well, we went to Hermit's Hermits. I ordered this ticket online, and it was a great show, by the way. This guy was good. But we had a group of 33 people from the old senior community that I live in, skiing there. But it just added it right to Wallet. And there, they weren't that mechanized. They just looked at it was okay. But basically, they would have scanners. Let me look at it. Hang on. So here was a year. I saved this from years ago. It was a Priceline check-in to a hotel in San Francisco. Fandango. This was the free movie I got from T-Mobile. So in the T-Mobile app, it says Fandango will give you a free movie. So it linked from T-Mobile into Fandango. Fandango added it here. I go to the theater. Boom. And that was, it was not a very good movie. I'm glad it was free. Ticketmaster. Oh yeah, we went to a San Jose Sharks game. So all of those can be in Wallet. But remember, Wallet is just the repository. It's just the wallet. You have to have the supporting app that moves it to the wallet. And of course, that stuff still lives in the app. So go ahead. Ticketmaster would be that app, yes. Yep. So, and you have to do the app on that in like Southwest and different things like that. Let's see if I have any other weird ones in here. Oh, these are Eventbrites, different events. Like, was this the Christmas Lights Tour? This was the Tesla group. Actually, the electric car group got together. We did a little tour, and it was free, but it was just for people who knew that was there. I've done the Rotary Crab Feed with Eventbrite and things like that. So, go ahead.
Now you're showing us what you've already put in the wallet. But how do you get it from the app itself?
In the app, it'll be a little badge that say Add to Apple Wallet. And you tap on it, and then it goes behind the scenes. And you got to remember, this is very secure, and I don't think it backtracks back to the app. Oh, and then I can share the pass with somebody, different things like that. So different events. So, but anyway, the biggest thing is for a hotel and for flight reservations, because I get to the airport and it shows up on my lock screen. I don't have to unlock my phone. I don't have to go through all this crap. It just shows up on my screen and I tap it or swipe it and it shows up in full on my screen. My phone's still locked. Okay? Go ahead.
And is Apple Pay Apple's version of PayPal?
No. So just like Wallet has to have supporting apps for the Southwest app, for instance, it is the credit cards are put into Apple Pay, and that is the same as sliding my card. I hate to say swiping a card because that you don't want to swipe a card. Sliding the card, and it's much safer. But we've done Apple Pay before, but Apple Pay is wonderful.
Does Wallet have a feature, an overview feature, shows you what you got in there? How do you know what you put in Wallet?
It shows up.
Is there a list anywhere?
It shows up. The list is in the wallet. If I want to see what's in my wallet, well, I can't tell what's in here. I got to open the wallet and go through it. It's the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Don't, you guys, this is Apple. Don't overthink it. Okay? It just works.
With the Southwest, you have to have the boarding pass before you can do that.
Okay. You go into this, why? No.
No.
I don't have any paper of any of this. So I've got my skis with me and my boot bag and my luggage. So I go to the SkyCap outside and I show him that, and he's still able to check it in. Okay? You don't need a boarding pass. This is your boarding pass.
Oh, that's what I need. You have to order the boarding pass before you.
No, you get it in the, okay. You get it in United, all of them. You check in. At any point, you can go to the app. Believe it or not, I think it does it on the email, but you go to the app in Southwest and you say, oh, there's my flight. You tap on it. And on that little window, there's a little box that says Add to Apple Wallet. And when you click on that, it goes into Apple Wallet. End of story. Last question on Wallet, because I have a lot more to cover.
I think you misunderstand. For Southwest, it's within 24 hours. Then you can put it on.
You can't, it's not, no, it's not 24 hours for the wallet. It's you can't check in for 24 hours before.
Will it automatically update?
It won't be in here unless you check in.
Yeah, right.
It is your boarding pass. Okay?
You have to check in first, and then you put it on.
Of course. And you check in where? In the app. Okay, so here's my trick to Southwest is I have my computer there usually, although I did the one from a chair, I did this one from just to come off the hill, but I'll have my iPad, my computer, and this, and I'm tapping them all at the same time. A little tip. See the clock here? See the second hand on your home screen? Look at that. Second hand's moving. You can watch the second hand and then check in because that's very accurate. Okay, let's move on. We've beat that horse to death. All right, there's a new thing, and this is cool, and I'm hoping our sound works. This is Google Trips. It is an app, but I'm going to show you the movie because it can explain it better than I can. If we get it downloaded here.
She's going on a trip. A trip she started planning a while back. But right now, feels kind of rushed. 11 hours later, this isn't her hotel. And with no Wi-Fi and no data, she's okay. Because Ashley already downloaded Google Trips. So no Wi-Fi? No problem. She has everything she needs to know about her vacation right here on her phone, including how to find her hotel. That's more like it. And now that she's here, working out what to do doesn't need to be quite so overwhelming. Because with Google Trips, Ashley can make her own personalized itinerary for each day, with all her must-see spots laid out on the map to help get her there. Actually, remember that place you saved that your friend Jane recommended? Yep, this one. Right around the corner. Known for being Picasso's old stomping ground. So wherever Ashley goes on vacation, Google Trips will always give her everything she needs, right at her fingertips. Nice work, Ashley.
So I didn't even know about this until I was planning for this presentation. And I just thought, because I have some other Google things I'm going to show you, I'm going, I wonder if Google has a trip app. And I don't know how old it is, but it's cool. And I had downloaded it a long time ago. I hadn't used it. But I use my Gmail address for most of my travel stuff. So therefore, it will actually go in for you. And this is not, don't worry about the privacy end of this. This is useful. It goes in and it'll say, oh yeah, you have a flight coming up or you have this hotel reservation, and it'll put those in for you, but you can add things to it. And the beauty is you can do this ahead of time and download the maps of the city you're in, and just this consolidates everything for Google for you, and it does it without needing a Wi-Fi or a cellular connection. Because if your phone doesn't have a cellular connection, the GPS still works. Okay? What's the best camera in the world? The one you have with you, and if it's this one. What's the best GPS in the world? The one you have with you. And this will work as a GPS without any cell connection. I know that for a fact because years ago I went from Angels Camp over Highway 4, and I mean that road is so narrow in some places that they don't have room to even put the yellow line in the middle. I mean, it's a two-way road, but you gotta, and luckily I put it into maps before I left, and it's dark, it's at night, and I can still see where the twists in the road are coming up and things like that. And I was out of cell connection for an hour and a half, and it worked perfectly. It won't redraw your maps for you, but now your Google Maps can download ahead of time and have your data in your phone. They take up a little room, but it's wonderful because you don't have to have an active cell connection for that. Okay, and that's Google Maps, which is great. But this Google Trips app is fantastic. This is going to be a reason that I'm going to do my next trip, is just so I can put stuff in Google Trips app. So anyway, it's Google Trips. It's in the App Store. All right.
And it's free.
Yes. Because Google, again, they're getting, the more eyeballs look at Google, the more because there's going to be some adverts in there, especially like, oh, this restaurant and different things. I mean, Google search is free because you see other ads and stuff. That's their business model. So Seat Guru has been around forever. It's now an app, but it's great on the phone, or it's actually better on a computer. It's a little easier. So I'm going to go to Seat Guru. And these were all on the list that I had you guys take a picture of. Internet's being a little slow. So what it is okay, the airline business is crazy. Southwest, you get to take 2 bags for free, and they don't charge you if you need to change your flight. The only thing they do is if you buy the flight and it's from here to Denver is $150 when you buy the ticket, but you need to change your flight at some time in the future, and it's up to $200, they're going to charge you the difference. When I was going to Salt Lake City, I had a flight, and it wasn't a direct flight, and a few of our people were on it, and I couldn't get on the direct one. So a little bit closer to the trip, they had a sale. I went and checked it again. Oh, good, they've got the direct flight. So I changed it to direct flight, and it was $8 less. So I have a credit of $8. If it was more, it would have been more, but of course it was on sale. You have to watch that with their airlines. There's some sites you can do to help track to see if your ticket drops. The problem is most of the major airlines charge you $150 to change seats. There's not many Southwest flights that cost $150. So and of course, Southwest has a really nice first class section up in the front. Or as they say, all seats are first class at Southwest. But Southwest is very good. And by the way, the best airline in the U.S., Virgin America, was purchased by Alaska, who I think was the second best airline in the U.S. So hopefully that'll continue and still be pretty good. To me, Southwest, it's just a no-brainer. But if you do some of these website search places, when you search for flights, they don't show up. Southwest doesn't show up, so you have to do them separately. All right. So we're going to, oh boy. So anyway, Seat Guru, I don't want to go into here. We're just going to browse an airline here. Come on. What it does is, actually, let me just do a logo. Seat Guru. I'll just do an image search, hopefully. Oh, here we go. Aeromexico. Find seat maps. So what you do is you find your flight, you find your airline, you find out which. It's not me vibrating. So there are good seats and bad seats on every plane. And you go in here, you take your airline. Oh, I don't know why that's. You go through and you pick the aircraft type, or you go by your flight number and it'll look up what your aircraft type is.
Don't move.
Yeah, but it's not me. Anyway, it'll show you where good seats are. It'll be clear, yellow, and red. Like the ones back by the lavatory are always bad because of noise and everything else. So.
And you have to get the headphones, the noise.
Yeah, the noise canceling, but they don't have smell canceling for back by the.
It's a 12-hour flight and you're back there, forget it.
Well, so like for instance on Southwest, I have one row and one seat I aim for. I always get in early. I shouldn't give this away. I always go way back. Well, first I ask at the gate, how full is the flight? And, it's 70% full or whatever. If it's full, I don't worry about it. But I actually, because I have really broad shoulders, I have a seat like row 22 where the window and the bulkhead, they have little dips by the windows. So if my shoulder's up against the ridge of that, it's 4 inches less room. But if my shoulder can fit in the window, I've got lots more room. So I always get a right-hand window. And I go way back because when people get on the plane, just like cattle, they just go or like sheep, they just go for the first spots. So I'll sit in the middle of the row way back, looking larger than I normally do. And then I hear the door shut, and then I go over to my thing here. Or you'll try, if there's a single person coming, not single to meet, but single, so they're not going to take both seats, then I'll let them know that seat's available. So then they have an aisle seat and I have a window seat. So, but you go a ways back, and yeah, it takes a little longer to get off the plane, but so what?
Back after the plane, right side is the last to fill. Left side,
The right side? Really?
Left side fills before the right.
So he says the left side fills before the right. And actually, what's really neat, you can go to the airline sites sometimes too, and they'll show you where the seats are available, and that's where you go to Seat Guru. Obviously, on Southwest, none of the Seat Guru stuff works. But I do the right because I can lean against that one a little bit better. Anyway, Seat Guru, there's another one called Gate Guru. These you guys already had. They're on the sheet that I gave you, or that you guys took pictures of. Gate Guru will tell you where the gates are located in these airports. I think they have a list of 1,400 airports, because so many times that's really confusing. And you're looking for the map that says you are here, and you look and you go, that doesn't look like anywhere where I am. An app called Flightboard is really good, because what Flightboard is, it's real-time updated, and I think it's 1,400 airports. Gate Guru wasn't, I'm sorry. Flightboard is just like what it's like is the tickers you see in the airport where they've got them. What's really neat in Germany, they go and they come on down. They're done with flips instead of lights. And what Flightboard is showing you arrival departure information on flights, and it uses all the airports online stuff, and it's pretty darn accurate. Check your gates. I mean, we had an incident where we went back between two gates and almost lost a flight one time because they switched gates without telling us. So TripCase is another app that's fantastic. It allows you to put your stuff in there, but I think Google Trips will probably make that even better now. TripCase, you can sign up for I think it's a fee on it or TripIt, I can't remember which one, but they will go out and get your reservations for you and put it in there. PackPoint, all one word, PackPoint, is a great app where you make up a packing list. I mean, how many times do we do that? And when you take a trip, the packing list from 2 trips ago might be the same. So it keeps them, and you can just go through the check marks by that, and it gives you little things that you might want. And TPE, Photographer's Ephemeris, if you're a photographer, Al Trivet, who comes to the classes most of the time, pointed this out to me. It's a wonderful, wonderful app. I'll bring it up.
Didn't you skip TripIt?
No, TripIt and TripCase are about the same.
Oh,
And TripIt's very good. Some of these have a pay-for component. Most of them have free, and you can do in the apps. So, launch TPE. So, photography has what's called the golden hour. It's the hour after sunrise and the hour before sunset. And what's really interesting, and the moon is kind of cool in that regard here. So that was actually from our condo in Park City, and I wanted to see where the sun and the moon were coming up and stuff. So this app will show you, and you can do it any time of day. In fact, when I bought my house up in Sun City, Lincoln Hills, I went beforehand to find out where the sun was going to be, because my big thing is I've always wanted a house where I don't see the sun set on someone else's roof. So I'm on a bit of a hill, and I wanted to see where the sun angles would be through the year. So I just go up here and I can change the date to different times and see what it's like. And it shows you the yellow is sunrise, the yellow there is current time, and then the orange is sunset, and then the blues, the light blue, and you can barely see the dark blue going out, that's moonrise and moonset. So if you're doing photography at all, or if you want to see where the sun's going to be for different things, it's TPE, and it's called the Photographer's Ephemeris. Let me see if there's a... user guide. Let's see if it says the name. There it is, the Photographer's Ephemeris. TPE. It's a couple bucks. It's a great app. Okay, so anybody have any highlight apps that they can't live without? This isn't, I mean, it's got to be a live or die one that they love for travel. Oh, currency converters. iConvert, but you can use Siri, but I love one called iConvert that works really well. And it'll continue to convert even if you're offline, but remember it won't update to the most recent if you're offline. Okay, any other apps that are phone that they can't live without? The the photography app, first off. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every of these. I'm going to just explain these a little bit to you first. SmarterTravel.com I signed up for an email from them. It's kind of neat. They do have some deals and stuff, but they have little tips along the way. I really like it. Johnny Jet with 2 N's. This guy makes his living by traveling, and he writes about it. And it's a very informative blog, and he lists some deal sites on there too. Clark Howard at clark.com. This guy, that's the one podcast I make sure I listen to all the time. Driving here today at 7:30 this morning, I'm listening to Clark Howard in my car the whole way. It's just the best podcast, and he owned a bunch of travel agencies. He sold those and retired at just the right time. And he doesn't have to work, but he loves doing this wonderful. It's a radio show that's not played in Sacramento anymore, but he has a podcast, and it's fantastic. Financial, retirement planning, how to not get scammed, tons of stuff. It's just fantastic. We talked about TSA pre-check. There's the website for it. You guys have already taken photos of this. The second one is the CBP, Customs and Border Protection. That is for the global entry. Okay, Seat Guru. And another one I put on here because it's travel links is TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is fantastic. It's people like you. It's kind of like the Yelp for travel. And of course, the Yelp works fantastic for travel. You want to find a restaurant somewhere, use Yelp, and it'll go great. But for hotels or tour companies and things like that, TripAdvisor is fantastic. And you can book things right through them. But they're real live people have said, yes, this hotel was terrible. And remember, like anything else on reviews, more people, if they have a bad experience, they're going to talk about it. The people that have great experiences don't always go talk about it. So you have to weigh that when you're doing it. CruiseCritic.com is a wonderful one for cruises. I forgot to put that in. Cruise Critic. Anybody got any of those tip sites like that that are more like real live ones? And again, you can use Yelp. Yelp is expanding. All right. You know me, Frugal Ken. It's all about deals. Well, I'm going to go through here and show you Google Flights. It's a newcomer. It's fantastic. And if I go to Safari, I have it up already. Oh, I don't. So, flights.google.com. While that's loading, I'm going to go through and show you some stuff from Amazon that I think are great. These are little bungee cords that you have so you can hold your, when you have your suitcase that's a wheelie or whatever and you want to attach other things to it, these little bungee cords are handy. We talked about straps like this. Here is that document holder I talked about. I love it. It's got 2 zips on the side and they go into the center in 2 separate divided pockets. It's got another pocket right behind my phone slides into. It's got a flip-up flap with 2 separated compartments inside. And the iPhone 7 Plus fits had plenty of room in there for that, including if it was in a plastic pouch. And then the flip-up latch, the flip-up top on it, I keep chapstick and stuff in the top, and so it's really, really good. And you adjust around your neck, and it's pretty darn secure. Look for ones that don't have a little string. It's better to have a little wider thing because by the time you start putting stuff in this, it'll get on your neck. This is a travel pillow. I got one of these. I have not had a chance to use it yet because like I say, I always go to the right like this. But if you're stuck in that center seat, you need to have a pillow against something. This kind of goes around your back, and it's inflatable, and you have something to lean against without having to have the pillow lean against something. And it rolls up into this great little pouch like this. It's all inflatable. And that's a travel rest. And it was $30, but it's I hope it's going to be real good. Packing cubes. So like I take a few of these with different electronics in it, so they're all jamming around in my case. And then you can get different size packing travel cubes where you put your clothes in and stuff. I've seen a suitcase that looks really interesting that's got a part that lifts out and it hangs right up on the shelf, and it's got or up on the rack in the closet. But the problem is, and your shirts and everything are right in there, but I don't think it compacts really tight. So I don't know. And remember, you can't be taking a lot of stuff these days. But the packing cubes allow you to keep things a little bit more segregated because how often is it you're starting to go through something and it's like at the bottom and then everything's messed up. I don't know how TSA does it sometimes. I don't know how they get my suitcases shut again, but somehow they do.
But it looks like you're wearing your stuff.
Yeah.
Here's an underwear you're wearing.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You can put on a bunch of underwear, and I told you you can get the boxers from there. Take a scale or have a scale for your luggage, okay? Because that's a big deal these days. This one's, I like the dial one like this. What it does is when you pick it up, it pegs the thing, and when you let go, the peg stays where it was, so you have to reset it each time. But I also have the electronic kind here. And what I do with this one, so the battery doesn't wear out, I always put the little battery clip right back in it. So it's not constantly going to turn on automatically. And be careful, because these normally, when you turn them on, they go to kilos rather than pounds, and it'll not be too good because it's
Where did you get that?
Amazon, $10, something like that. So it's kind of good. You clip it around it, and it just lifts up, and you just hold it, and then it remembers what it is, and then you can clear it and turn it on and off. Oh, and there are some out there. In fact, this one doesn't do it, but there's one of the ones like this here that also has a tape measure, just right inside it. So weight being a factor, I don't always take it with me. What I'll usually do is put that in my carry-on, so I have it if I have to at the airport. So the other thing I've got to look up here, I don't have it, is my Amazon. Let me go here. I have this great device. You know, now we travel with a whole bunch of electronics. So come on, load. Okay, well that's loading. I'm going to go here. We're going to go from Sacramento to, where do we want to go today? Paris, all right. Paris, it's being slow. Paris, France, all airports. We're going to leave, well, okay, we'll go by the dates it has. So now, it'll show me these, and then what's really cool is if I click on this link, it's going to bring up a calendar. My Amazon's loading in the meantime. I'm going to let that page load in the background. We're multitasking. Come on, load. Oh, that's not doing it. Let's do a domestic one. Sacramento to SLC, Salt Lake City. And round trip. Oh, come on. I want my prices will increase in 2 days. Look at that. Nice little warning over there. Oh, come on. Let me get my... I'm looking for the map, or the calendar that usually comes up. They probably changed it. Yeah, I know the screen's freaking out. I don't know why.
That higher screen where you put in the dates. There's the calendar.
Oh, where was the calendar?
Right next to the date.
Oh, no. This is actually, a calendar comes up. I don't know what's up with the screen, you guys. And I'll have to find out why it's not. But what it does, it shows you a calendar, and it shows you if you fly on this date, the outgoing price is this, this, and this in Google Flights. Google Flights is the best for finding everything. It doesn't list Southwest, but it's fantastic. Oh, here we go. Here's what I was looking for. This is very similar. I got a 4. Let's get the. So we all have the power adapters for our Apple devices, and they all work on 220 or 240 voltage also. You just need to make sure you don't need a converter, you just need an adapter, okay? So you would plug them into this, and then it would change it to whichever one you're doing. You don't have to have one of those that converts the voltage. And if we look...
That at Amazon too? Or?
Yes. Oh, these? You know, these are generic. You get these at a travel store or in Amazon and stuff. The Apple ones are specific for it. So what I do is, let's say I'm somewhere where it's this adapter, okay? It'll tell you what country it is. And I travel with my extension cord. So I plug this into the wall, and I plug this into this, and now I have 3 things that are adapted. Because the Apple device, I don't have to have an adapter for each device. I adapt the cord. It has to be things that can do 220. Very similar to this thing that's on the board here. And this is wonderful to travel with because I don't know what's up with the screen. So it has 4 spots for USB. So I could have an iPad, an iPhone, I could have my Apple Watch, and I could have this all plugged into it, and they only take up 1 spot on here, and they're charging. They're like $25. And they're high, they'll charge your iPhone twice as fast as the really small iPhone charger. So go ahead.
Yeah, will your extension cord handle a 220?
Yeah, because it's all about amperage, isn't it?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I actually take a power strip instead. I take a non-surge protector's power strip. It's just a manifold. Yeah, I used this in China. It was fine. So, because then we have more things, people traveling with hearing aids. I mean, there's always something to plug in. So for all your USB stuff, this works great. And it's a fast charger. And it just, see if we get, boy, the internet's really slow. So there it is. It's just got a flip down plug, and that plug is the US, but this works for 220, 240, so it'll work with other places. And I trust Anker. Anker is a very good brand, and you get them at Amazon.
Yeah.
Yes?
Back to that, I just wanted to tell people, if they don't know about them, they are wonderful, that blue thing that you held up. They don't.
The packing cubes?
Packing tubes.
Yeah.
I've used those now for several years, and they don't.
Stuff doesn't wrinkle in them and everything.
Yeah, and
I actually, here, look at this deal.
Amazing.
You
amounts
get,
of things that-
you get 3 cubes and 3 pouches for $10.99.
Oh gosh, that's a lot cheaper than
That's about a quarter of the price as you would pay other places. And I got this brand. They're great. You got little laundry bags and stuff.
I think it's the best thing since sliced
Yeah.
bread for travel.
And especially when you're talking gadgets and things. So now I know. And how often is it you're getting tired, you get down and go, oh, I got to pull my stuff out to plug in. And you're trying to go through your whole suitcase and everything. Oh, that's the green pouch. And I pull it out. Plus, I can also take that green pouch if I don't want to put it in my suitcase. It's real easy to drop it in I usually travel, even though I have a Scotty vest, I travel with a backpack. In fact, one backpack, if I'm doing photography stuff, is this backpack holds a laptop and everything else in it. I have 2 cameras in here, a big lens and things like that. That I'll usually take with me, and there's enough room to put other stuff in it. But I don't travel with the big lenses anymore. It's really a pain in the butt. Okay. Go ahead. The battery, yeah, just look for Anker and look for external battery or battery pack under Anker, because there's a bunch. I might have it in my, the internet's just not being real cooperative. So I looked in my orders for Amazon. Amazon makes it really easy to buy things. Oh, there's one. You can get a 6-porter. Yeah, there's my Anker 20,000 milliamp hours. That thing is big. It's like about this long. It's pretty heavy. Yeah, it's heavy. So I put it in. And then China was weird. They let you put them in. They didn't want them in your luggage, but you could carry them in your carry-on, which is counterintuitive to this whole bombing thing that is. But that's how they did it. They actually would stop us and have people. They would scan the luggage and then take them out of the luggage and do it. Now, a little weird thing here. They are limited on size. People keep talking about the new MacBook Pros from Apple and how it's underpowered and doesn't do all this. Well, the thing is, it's got as big a battery as it can have to still meet many of the international regulations. So Apple had to depower it a bit just simply because they don't want a laptop to not be able to go through TSA or whatever. Not so much internationally, but or more internationally than domestic. Go ahead.
We have one of those portable batteries, like your platform there. How do you recharge those, and do they work with that?
They just plug into the USB. So they have a micro USB. So USB out to power things. To charge it is also a little USB cord. And so that charger we talked about would work perfect. These do come with a cable, usually not a charger. Everybody has wall chargers. But you do like the better ones, like that Anker, is 2.4 amps, which is twice what the little iPhone was. By the way, you have the little iPhone charger that's about this size. They're an inch square. Those won't charge your iPad. They'll barely let it continue to run, or they'll barely charge it when asleep. But you have the little bit bigger one that's about this size squared. For the iPad, you can use that to charge your iPhone. If you're only going to take one, take that one, because it'll charge your iPhone twice as fast, and it will charge your iPad. But the iPhone one will not charge your iPad. But this one is the 2.4 watts or 2.4 amps, just like that. Go ahead.
That battery, will it charge on 220?
It's not the battery that'll charge on 220. It has to do with the adapter charging it, and that anchor is. So you got to look at the really small print on any transformer you have. It'll tell you if it's 240-110 or 120, and that means it can go. It switches both ways. The big thing traveling is women's curling irons or hair dryers are the biggest ones. You have to have a converter for those, or you can frost it and blow it up. But most electronics, because they're already a transformer, they're changing AC to DC, and they can carry both of them. I really wonder if this is the... Okay. All right, I have no idea why the map isn't, or the calendar isn't showing up with Google Flights, but it's really cool. I don't think they've changed it, but it'll show you. Yeah, let me try that. I'm just going to go Salt Lake City here because, yeah, you know what it is? Yeah, when I click that, there it is. Because I was just using the default date, so thank you very much. So you can see here, when you pull it up, it shows you on your departure. It's wonderful to show you, okay, I'll pick that departure because it's less. And then when I go to pick my arrival or my return, you can look here and see where they are. Very, very useful. It doesn't go out a long ways, but it goes out a little bit of ways here, and it's very, very useful. So thank you. You mentioned that, and I lost it. It's the stress of doing this. I'm really sorry. All right. Going back to...
That doesn't work with Southwest.
No. But Southwest does that. Southwest is wonderful for that. And don't forget to check nearby airports, too. For instance, let's say you were in Paris flying back here, and you say San Francisco. Well, remember, you've got San Jose and Oakland would be nearby airports. Flying to LA, same thing. Search for nearby airports. Okay. All right. These in here are after Google Flights. You guys already have a picture of this, but the flight deal kicks butt. I'm going to fire it up in the meantime and just show you one, and then I'll go back to this. Travel Zoo. So I'm going to Thailand here in November. It's 14 days, round-trip airfare out of San Francisco. English-speaking tour guide the whole way. We'll have some local tour guides. It ends up in Shanghai, and then we fly back. It's almost all meals. It's escorted tons of tours. It's the same place I went to China with, and it's everything included, $1,900 bucks. Wow. But listen to what my China trip was. I went to China last May. 19 days, round-trip airfare out of San Francisco on Air Canada. Small seats, but it was a good airline. Went all over China. We saw the Great Wall. And then they had dinner shows we'd go to afterwards. The biggest complaint on this trip is you'd get back to your hotel room about 9 o'clock at night and you'd be so tired because they had so much to do. And all meals except for 19 days. The hotels were nicer than any hotel I've not even just stayed at that I've ever been in my life. Unbelievable. Obviously, in the little small towns, a 5-star hotel is really a 5-star, but these were 7-star. They were incredible. That included 2 flights within China. It included a bullet train, 3 days in the Yangtze River on a small boat river cruise, the same boat that the Viking cruise uses, and a half day in Macau and a day and a half in Hong Kong. $1,700 bucks. I got that on Travel Zoo. I saw that. Again, Machu Picchu is the top of my bucket list, and all these good deals keep getting in the way. So I saw that, and it was basically $1,500 bucks off its normal price. It was with a company called Cinerama, and they're out of Canada because there's a lot of Asian expats that live in Canada, and we couldn't believe this. It was a wonderful trip. We ended up being, you kind of get in your group of your bus. We had 29 people on our bus, and it was a great group of people. And here we are, everybody from all over the U.S., And we had some Eastern Europeans come on, and they can be a little bit pushy and shovey, and they were the best people in the world. They were the most fun, and they live in Roseville, for God's sakes, you know. It was really, really amazing. A great group, and the tour guide. So I finally asked the tour guide. Well, and first of all, China is a more first world than this country. There is so much stuff. It's just amazing going on there, and you didn't feel under the thumb. You didn't have to worry. They have some other regulations, like for us, we didn't have to get a special visa to go to Hong Kong, but our tour guide, since he's a Chinese citizen, even though Hong Kong is owned by China, she have to get special dispensation to be able to go there. But it was fantastic, and I asked her, I go, because we're all going, how can they do this? Somebody's laundering money here or something, because there's no way they can do this trip like it is, because it was fantastic. And the Chinese government underwrites part of it. They subsidize it. And so like the Thailand trip I'm going on stops in Shanghai on the way back. So that's how it's getting subsidized. I got it through Travelzoo, but it's Sinorama, Sinorama. Sino, like Chinese. And actually it's a lady in Toronto that owns the company. And I can't speak highly enough, but it was only because of the Travelzoo deal. So if you booked it direct, it would have been over $3,000. But through Travelzoo, it was $1,700.
Yeah, they have a 13-day for $11.99.
Yeah, for China, right? Yeah. So so the big thing here is sign up for these email lists. You can always say delete, okay? Or you can have them you can make a rule in mail to put it in my travel folder, because, as Clark Howard says, don't determine where if you just want to travel, don't decide where you want to go and then to go shop for the trip. Shop for the trip, it'll tell you where you're going to go. Again, I want to go to Machu Picchu, but this Thai deal came up, so I'm doing it. And it's the same trip where if you pay twice as much, is it going to be twice as much fun? No, it's the same damn trip. Okay? You're just maybe with stuffier people when you're there. I don't know. But it's just, these deals are out there because they're all gauging when they have different things available.
How big was the crowd you toured with?
29 people. And there was a whole nother bus that was that was the exact same group. This place, they are the biggest tour company so it's not, and we have a lot of other things. It's not like OAT, Overseas Adventure Travel, which is wonderful small group travel with a lot of different things. And what's their cruise line?
Grand Circle.
Grand Circle, yeah. So those are kind of a whole different sell, and they're very expensive. This is just a in-mass travel, but I can't speak highly enough of how good it was and how well organized. It was really good. But they specialize in China, so I've shopped them for Vietnam, and their prices are terrible for Vietnam and Cambodia. And again, it has to do with that being subsidized by the Chinese government. But Travelzoo is where the deal was.
Travelzoo has gotten a lot of things, and she had, I can't remember the price, but it was India.
Oh yeah. Travelzoo just gets, they're a marketer. They don't do these trips, but also they'll put in, this is one of our favorite tour people or something like that. But you get on Travelzoo, you'll see it pop up. Hey, go spend a night at the Mendocino Coast for $69 at this hotel. Different things like that. So it spurs your interest to do things you might not want to do, and to go to Mendocino for $69. I mean, can't pass that up. So it's really, really good. So these in here, Flight Deal, Travelzoo. Travelocity is one to compare things with. It's not great. Exit Fares is fantastic. Flight fares. By the way, so I told you I went to Medellin. This was a deal I found on the Flight Deal. So my best friends moved to Medellin, and they said, hey, come down and see us. So this was October, over a year ago. And so I saw a Flight Deal come up in November or so. And it said, round trip airfare, San Francisco to Medellin, $360. I said, it's going to cost me half that to park. So I got Spot Hero where they could park. But I said, man, and it was on Aeromexico. So only downside is, kind of an upside, I had a 12-hour layover in Mexico City. I went and took a tour of the city. I took an Uber car to the tour bus and went and took a tour of Mexico City. By the way, if you're ever stuck in Mexico City Airport, go up to the third floor. and they have this beautiful hotel with comfortable chairs in the lobby, great Wi-Fi, and a reasonably priced, great little restaurant right there. And it's in Mexico City Airport. But $360, it was a flight deal, and it's not one of those where, okay, you got to leave tomorrow. I booked that flight 3 months in advance. So the flight deal, since I fired up mail, let's go to the flight deal. So I get almost daily these, but I can always avoid them. Let's see here. Let's just find one. And they're all over the place. LA to Cancun, 243. Newark to Taipei. I mean, and you can tell that San Francisco to Havana. Leslie, you just went to Havana. Cuba is dropping in price like crazy. The initial trips to Cuba were very expensive, but now it's starting to get into the masses like that. New York to Madrid, 431. So you can go in. You have to jump through some hoops kind of to get some of these flights, but you click on it and go through. But just because it says Chicago or New York to Madrid, there might be some San Francisco to Madrids, and try it too. This is the flight deal. Go ahead.
At the top it says credit cards that provide lounge access.
Yeah.
Now, do you have to fly there on that credit card?
No. So this is one that's good. I was just talking about this, the credit cards that provide lounge access. It just tells you about it. This is a travel site. They know this information. They're letting you know. They might make a little money if you click through and get the card thing. But the cards with the lounge, you can buy lounge access, but it's like the Admirals Club for American and things like that. But now they're not just the airlines. There are private companies that have these lounges, and you can pay a fee to go in the lounge, or a month or a yearly fee, or some credit cards allow you. And actually, some of the airlines are starting to use those lounges rather than have to have their own lounge. So, and they're in the major international airports, and it's pretty cushy. It would have been nice well, I kind of had it when I was in Mexico City because I went to that hotel. That was my lounge, But yeah, that's just something. They don't always have that, but they'll have some other things on there. They'll also maybe have some hotel deals. So that was the flight deal. Exit fares, let's just pull up one of those, just for example. And again, I just subscribed to these and get them, and thank God I was on the Travel Zoo one because it's been some great trips. Okay, exit fares. Here we go. $270 to Sweden. Scandinavia is, right now, the dollar is so strong against other countries. It's a great time to travel. But to go to Sweden, now, you want to be careful. Is this on, that's on American. Oh, that's New Orleans. Hang on here. So here's $12.99. National Parks, summer tour. That's Oakland to Stockholm on Norwegian for $270 round trip. Okay? Scandinavia is, because Norwegian Airlines is doing a big discount now, the other airlines are trying to match them. So you can even do some of these, you can poke in and see what Sacramento is to connect and things like that. And if you're going to fly out of San Francisco, make sure you check how much more it is out of here, because by the time you say parking, it might be less to go from here. San Jose to Paris. Didn't we just pull up a Paris one? Sacramento was $1,479, and there it is. There it is. You got to be careful. Like here, okay, here's Portugal beach vacation with flights for $849. Kuala Lumpur, $453. Australia, which isn't cheap. So that's called exit fares. And many times you'll see if something comes on the flight deal, it'll also be an exit fares. But flight deal is almost just flights. Almost all just flights, where exit fares will have these other ones, and they kind of just call them in. None of these cost anything to join.
What was that other one you had?
The flight deal. The flight deal. And you took pictures of it. Here it is. Travel Zoo exit fares. Airfare Watchdog, that's one where you can set Sacramento as your thing, and it'll come up and just kind of give you any changes there might be in airfares. Another one that's great, I won't pull it up, Scott's Cheap Flights. It's an interesting newsletter, and he has a pay-for component. So you get right away alerts and better deals if you go. This is just a guy that just started doing this, and a lot of people are really following him now. But you can just get his regular one, and it comes up with some great deals every so often. CrewCon, that's the discount cruise fares. Kayak. Now, Kayak is interesting. It's like Travelocity, a website for hotels and things like that. But you can also set up in Kayak to send you when certain places go on sale or things like that. Mobissimo is more for international. It's a great site for that. Don't forget Costco. Costco Travel has great deals. Not killer deals like this, but they have some really good deals. And it's got Costco behind it, so it's pretty darn good. And I think Costco does sell their own travel insurance, and that's one of the ones where I would say, okay, it's not like buying the travel insurance from the cruise line. And then Gate 1 Travel I put here. I should have put, and I'll pull up Cinerama Holidays, but Gate 1 Travel is one that comes up on TravelZoo a lot, and their reviews are pretty darn good. I may use them for Machu Picchu, but I've got a special hotel I'm going to try to do at Machu Picchu. Let me pull up, since the talk was of, we'll go to Cinerama Holidays, just so you can see kind of, now these again, Travelocity may sometimes have a better deal than doing it direct through Cinerama. So, so Cinerama, since they're such a big seller, they're the biggest from North America to China. They have what's called the Han Show. Han is the largest. They're the majority. HAN. That's the of the native tribes. They're the biggest, and they had this Han Show. This thing was as amazing as the Ka Show, if you've seen that by Cirque du Soleil, combined with the O Show with the water. This stage was incredible. It was huge, and they're doing all these acts up on there, and it is so first class. It was included on our trip, but they say don't tell everybody because they may not include it later. It's because they were giving, the Cinerama had brought so many people to them, they were doing this. But the entire huge stage, all of a sudden, it becomes water. The stage itself lowers. And this stage was at least 100 foot across and at least 60 feet deep. And it went down in the water, not deep depth this way, but it went down in the water, so much so they're doing big jumps. A guy comes out in a jet ski and goes around and stuff. And then the stage comes back up, and it just was amazing. So there we go. Image of China. 5-star hotel and cruise, Glorious 21. And these aren't discounted, and these are booked out quite a bit. There, what, 8, how many days? Okay. So that's just a few of them. Now, I'm happy to hear any other tips that you want to share with anybody. We have 15 minutes for question and answer and sharing things because I'm just one guy. Oh, let me look through my list to see if I missed anything here real quick. Navigation, Waze is good worldwide. Use Google Maps on your phone because now it can download the map. Apple Maps is good, but it may be using your data in that regard. Also, if you're a hiker and you want to know, all the U.S. government survey, USGS topographical maps are online for free now. Remember, you used to go to Alpine West down at 10th and R, and you'd pull out the map drawer with the topo map, the quadrant they would call it, and you'd get those and do your things.
Website for the hiking maps?
NP Maps, like nationalparkmaps.com, npmaps.com. Don't forget walking stick, car rental video, Google Flights exit for. Oh, this is hugely important before we go on to anything. I want to talk about medical ID on your phone. We're not getting any younger. This is a little bit travel related, but it's very much oriented for everybody here. You have a health app on your phone. It's the one with the red, it's white with a red heart. So I'm going to pull it up. So you see what it looks like. White with the red, okay? Go ahead and pull it up now. I'm not going to have you enter all the stuff in it, but I'm going to just show you what it is here. So if at the bottom, you see the little thing that says medical ID. Has everybody got that? Who doesn't have the health app up? Just look for health.
I can't
Just
find
search.
one, but I know it's all.
Just say launch. Yours already filled in?
Yeah.
I think yeah. So, you see right here where it says medical ID. Tap on that. Now, you're going to see a lot of pertinent information on me, but I don't care because this is important. So, you go in and you fill out your information. And I'll show you how this works beyond that. So, I have things. Now, you'll notice what I put for my allergies. I'm allergic to bombs and bullets. That's about the only thing I'm allergic to. And I actually have my brother on there. I have weight, height, and then there's a chance to do it. You can also register as an organ donor. But let me show you how this works. Oh, and then, actually, I'm sorry, at the very, you probably have a little check mark there. It says add to home screen or add to emergency screen. What's it say? What? Yeah, let me look at somebody, because I can't see it on mine.
Add emergency contact.
Oh, you're just in it, so just say update medical ID. And what's it say? No, at the very top it says show when locked. At the very first screen it says show when locked. Does everybody see that? Turn that on and I'll show you why this is important. Do you remember, does anybody have the old ICE in their phone that says in case of emergency?
Yes.
Well, how are they going to do that if your phone's locked? So watch this. So I'm going to go to my phone. I'm going to use a finger that's not on my fingerprint reader because I've just passed out and somebody's here to help me and they want to know what my stats are and who to contact. So I go there and I try to do it again and then it says emergency. So I hit emergency and now it shows medical ID. Yours won't show medical ID. Emergency means you could dial 911 if somebody picks up your phone. But if I say medical ID and I tap on medical ID, look at the screen that comes up. First responders know to go find this. So it's got everything there, but you'll notice from that screen they can even call my brother or anybody else I have added into my medical ID contact so it could call them right away. It shows all the information, etc. Okay? So that's why you want medical ID. First responders know to get into that screen.
It didn't work for me, even though I have that clip.
Did you finish the whole setup?
You got to fit the.
You got to create your medical ID. Have the check mark at the top, and at the very end you say save, and then it'll be able to do this. Okay? Very important. I'll show you another little trick here, though. So, if you ever find a phone and you don't know whose it is, pick up there. If it's an iPhone, say, whose phone is this? With Siri.
I believe this iPhone belongs to Ken.
And if there were other phones listed, you could actually dial the people from them. Or, I mean, the trick is you can say, call last number. The other really funny thing is with Siri, obviously I can send an email. So you could, let's say Teresa picked up somebody's phone and they don't know who here it is, you can say, send an email to so-and-so or text you, and it shows you where it came from and the number. But anyway, you can just pick it up and say, whose phone is this? So, but that's nothing to do with medical ID, but medical ID is really, really, really important. So the way you get it is you can't unlock your phone like normal. You got to pretend like it's not you, and you try to unlock it. Tap emergency, then tap medical ID. Okay? All right. That was it, I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to back up to Waze.
No, you drive forward with Waze.
Maybe that's my problem.
Well, the bad thing with GPS apps, you'll have it giving you voice turn-by-turn directions, and you get out of the car to go into a convenience store to get something. You'd be walking down the aisle and says, "Please make a left turn."
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's that. But the voice seems intermittent.
On Waze,
Yeah.
it could be if you have Bluetooth in your car. It wants to connect to your Bluetooth in your car, and your car may not be set up to hear it from your phone. So I always go into the control center on my phone and swipe up, and I go over here and say, put the output to my phone. Because if I'm listening to other stuff or my other things in the car, I want it to come through my phone. So that's what's happening. It sometimes goes, sometimes.
I don't see it on the screen.
You swipe up from the bottom,
Yeah,
and well, you can't do it now because you're not in your car.
okay,
So, do you have Bluetooth in your car?
I do,
So, are you listening to the car radio sometimes too?
sometimes.
So, what happens is, if Bluetooth in your car is designed to play podcasts or iTunes through here to your car, but if you're not listening to your phone through your car and you're listening to the radio, this is trying to send your Waze directions to your car, but your car is not set up to receive this one. You're on a different channel essentially. So you tell it Waze when you're in Waze, you slide it from the bottom and say, don't send this to Bluetooth, don't send it to my car, send it to the phone.
Where's the option on that?
You can't, I'm not in my car.
Oh, okay.
I have to be connected to my car, so you swipe up on that and change the option on the bottom. And because I know exactly what it is, so I have the same thing. Speaking of Waze and Apple Maps, look at this. If I go to Apple Maps, it's a new thing. Look at that. It shows me where my car's parked. If you have Bluetooth in your car, if your phone is connected to Bluetooth in your car, when you park your car and you walk away from your car, it says, I know he's not connected to the car anymore, and this is where the car was. Now, if your wife comes and grabs your car and takes it somewhere, you're screwed because it'll still show that it's there. It's not a constant connection. It's just, this is where you exited your car and disconnected from Bluetooth, and it shows me that my car is right down there.
What
Now, I got to show off here because I can do like this and say, there's my new color, by the way. I can go there, and it'll show me where it is. And I can honk the horn if I want. But that's the Tesla app. That's the Tesla app. Sorry, but the app's free, you guys. Hey, they started producing the $35,000 car. They put a pre-production run, and it's looking pretty good. So anyway, it's the Bluetooth connectivity. And you guys, if you have a car that supports Bluetooth, you know, the new laws make it so you can't really touch your phone. You can barely touch it. You can't swipe or anything. So do that. Use Siri. If you don't have Bluetooth in your car, they make little ones you can put on your visor that work well. Or use AirPods or the headphone that came with your phone, because you can put you can put an earphone, an earpod in one ear, and that's completely legal. And that has a microphone in it, and it works well for Siri. That's really important. Go ahead.
At the top settings on your phone where it has airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth cellular, when you're traveling, what do you do with those?
I'm glad you asked. So we'll bring up the phone. Actually, first of all, the quick way to get to airplane mode is if you swipe up from the bottom, there's a little airplane. So airplane mode's a little counterintuitive. It says, so if I go to settings, it says turn airplane mode on. Turning airplane mode on says turn off all radios. Okay, so it's turning it on turns everything off. Now, we have Wi-Fi, we have Bluetooth, we have GPS, and we have cellular, right? This turns off all those radios. So if you're concerned, well, first of all, if you're on a flight, do this because your battery will last a lot longer, because keeps trying to find that tower that you can't get from a plane up there. So put it in airplane mode. But if you're on the plane and they have Wi-Fi, or if you're traveling internationally and you want to make sure you don't get that surprise bill, turn airplane mode on, and then all you do is come down to Wi-Fi and I can't do it here because we'll lose it on the screen. You could turn airplane mode on, turning off all radios, and then you can go back in and turn on Bluetooth for your speakers, for instance, and you can turn on Wi-Fi, and it works fine, but it's still everything else is off. So that's how you can make sure with data. Now, a little story behind that is, you know, when it first started out, somebody went to Europe with their AT&T phone, and they didn't realize it, but your phone's always checking for email. And that's a little bit of data, but it's constantly doing it. So the person came back with an $1,800 bill. And they're like, well, I didn't do it. I didn't make any calls. So they said, I don't know why this is. And they said, well, it's because your data and stuff. So they've been a long-time AT&T customer. And they said, well, I'll tell you what, we'll cut that in half. So that's like going to them and saying, well, I'm not going to shoot you with a gun, but I'm going to stab you with a knife. And it's, and the worst part is the person felt like they were getting a deal.
Yeah.
So be careful about that. It's really critical you check. You can sign up for a plan with your international carrier, but I cannot stress enough. The one spot in Yosemite where I don't get my cell phone reception because of when I don't get it from most carriers, but I don't get my T-Mobile, it makes up for it when I'm traveling. And the fact that I can tether my laptop to here. And when I watch videos, so I get unlimited internet, and at 28 gigabytes a month, which is a lot, they can decide to slow me down if they need to, but they don't. But secondly, they don't count YouTube. They don't count streaming music. None of that counts against your data. And the new Major League Baseball, you'll be able to watch a game and it doesn't count against your data. So anyway, I just turn airplane mode on. It'll save your battery life. The other thing is, if you're out in outlying areas and let's say you're camping or something, and you do want to use your phone, if you're in very low areas, the phone's first job is to make and receive phone calls. So if you're in an area where you're getting barely one bar like that, your phone is saying, I gotta be ready when they're gonna get a call. I gotta be ready. So it keeps trying to find that tower, and that way your phone will get hot and your battery gets worn down a lot. You put it on airplane mode, the phone will last days rather than just a day. So. Yeah, so there's an update out now, iOS 10.3. I've got directions on the website. Please don't do it unless you completely back your up phone by the technique I have linked on the website and encrypted into iTunes. It's a good update. Your phone will be faster. It'll reclaim some space on your phone. Hopefully you have room to install it. It creates the reason it's different than other updates, and I never tell people to hesitate on updates. I'm not telling you to hesitate. I'm just telling you to make sure you have a backup, doing the directions I show on the website. In fact, I'll pull it up. The MacNexus website. And because I haven't heard of anybody losing data yet, but what happens is it creates a brand new file system. It's miraculous how Apple does this behind the scenes, but it's a new file system because the file system, and the Mac will have this very soon, is 2 decades old. So if you go down here to where it says planning on a new phone, make an encrypted backup, right there. And actually, while I'm on the website, I should point out here, if you click on this link and sign up for my iTunes gift card discounts, there are about once a month I send out an email. It's only for this. I don't spam it or anything else. But it is when iTunes gift cards go on sale, I send out an email. And if you get enough of them on your account, then, and it can be used for iCloud storage and stuff. So that's right there.
Which address do we use to sign up for that? I've tried for months.
What?
Which address of yours?
Whichever one you want. No, you click on this. You click on this, and I'll show you what comes up. And it says, here, put in your email address. So I would use your email address. And you can probably put your name in here and then hit subscribe. And then it'll say, am I a robot or something like that. So that puts you on my list.
To your iPad 2, the update,
I'm sorry?
this update.
Not to the iPad 2, but to the iPad also. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure because it doesn't, because 10 isn't supported in the iPad 2.
Yeah.
And, Apple came out with some new products the other day, a red phone, and a new iPad called, wait for it, iPad. It replaced the old iPad Air, and it's essentially the same. It's a little thicker with a bigger battery life and a brighter screen, but it starts at $329, which is really good for a full-size iPad. And they came out with new watch bands. So we think that it's a precursor because they're going to come out with some new stuff pretty soon. This is the time of year to do some different things. Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to make it. I better save. I'm going to quit the video. So go ahead and ask. If somebody's got a question, ask out while I'm saving video here. Oops, I better stop the